Evolution, a deliberate yet subliminal process for all but humankind. We cannot wait.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
He's on the move. That's cool.
Coming up, the world's first disposable hearing aid is launched by high street chemist Boots. The Songbird hearing aid is designed to be thrown away after 6 weeks, meaning users don't need to worry about maintenance, replacing batteries or repairs. For more than 100 years, the fossil fuel-burning machines of the Industrial Revolution have dumped millions of tons of carbon dioxide into the thin and fragile shell of gases we call the atmosphere. An atmosphere that is undergoing mysterious new changes. Researchers are exploring exciting possibility for technology based on the blue laser light derived from gallium nitride. These include more efficient mobile phones, a new generation of compact discs, and an everlasting light bulb. In October 2000, Britain became the first European country to formally allow insurance companies in to use the results of genetic tests in deciding whether or not to offer insurance cover. And it seems that smoking really is a mug's game. You may want to reconsider taking that next path. Specialists have been able to explain how smoking ages the skin at an alarming rate. An artifact. A fragment from a time long ago. By studying this piece of our past, we better understand our own history. There are also remnants, cosmic fossils, some that remain from almost the beginning of time. These ancient fossils exist as cosmic background radiation, and at NASA, they've developed a unique satellite to probe the cosmic radiation as a key to unlock the mysteries of the early evolution of the universe. Scientists believe that in the beginning, our universe was very smooth and hot, uniformly filled with matter and radiation. But as the universe cooled and expanded, it evolved until what we see today, 15,000 million years after the Big Bang, is very irregular and lumpy, filled with galaxies and clusters of galaxies. Scientists are studying the background cosmic radiation, but this radiation has grown extremely cold and faint as the universe has expanded. So cold and faint that Earth's warm blanket of atmosphere obscures it, making it impossible to study from the ground. For our first comprehensive investigation of the cosmic background radiation, NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, working together with universities and industry, developed the Cosmic Background Explorer, COBE. Getting above our obscuring atmosphere is only the first step. The radiation itself is still difficult to detect. This is because as it's cooled for billions of years, it's grown fainter and shifted to the long wavelength portion of the electromagnetic spectrum. The radiation is now so cold that it appears in the microwave and infrared regions of the spectrum. Sensitive detectors for these wavelengths have only recently been developed. For COBE, instrument designers push this technology to the limit. The satellite's 3 instruments are extremely precise and very sensitive to infrared and microwave radiation. The instruments also have to be supercooled so that their own heat doesn't overpower the cold radiation they're trying to detect. One cosmic remnant is now so cold it radiates at only 3 degrees above absolute zero. To keep certain that COBE's instruments are even colder, chilled to 2 degrees above absolute zero, engineers enclose them in a very sophisticated thermos bottle. But meeting this challenge raised another, to build systems with moving parts that can operate at such low temperatures for more than a year required very specialized engineering techniques. With development and testing completed, COBE's 3 instruments are integrated into a satellite that is the culmination of 25 years of work to develop and refine instruments that can detect the remnant radiation from the early universe. Launched by a Delta rocket from Vandenberg Air Base in California, COBE is placed in its orbit 560 miles above Earth. The satellite begins a controlled spin and deploys its thermal shield, solar arrays and antenna. About a week later, COBE ejects its protective cover to begin its mission, to search for the missing link in cosmic evolution. With COBE, scientists will study the microwave and infrared cosmic background radiation, 2 cosmic remnants that may reveal how our once smooth universe evolved into the wondrous variety of the cosmos. The first cosmic remnants show us the universe about 1 million years after the Big Bang, when primordial light particles were released. The light particles had been trapped because the universe was packed so tightly that the light couldn't move without colliding with matter. But as the universe expanded and cooled, particles of matter began to combine, making room for the light particles to travel undisturbed. The light particles released so long ago persist to this day, filling the universe with extremely faint microwave radiation, a cosmic remnant of the Big Bang. One of COBE's instruments will map this cosmic remnant, looking for minute variations in its brightness in different parts of the sky. The instrument has to be sensitive enough to detect variations in brightness as little as 0.1%. The variations it detects will tell us how uniform the early universe really was. They may show us the very beginning of a structure that eventually turned into stars and galaxies. Another of COBE's instruments will also study the remnant radiation of the Big Bang to try and prove or disprove our current theory of cosmic evolution. Scientists will use the instrument's measurements to produce a curve showing how much energy the remnant radiates in each color of the microwave and infrared spectrum. COBE's instrument will, for the first time ever, plot this entire curve and will do it with unprecedented precision. If the curve looks like this, then COBE will reinforce our current theory that the universe expanded and evolved uneventfully from smooth to irregular. If the instrument detects even minute variations in the curve, it will mean that there were enormously energetic events that took place in the early universe, events that could explain the filamentary strings of galaxies surrounding the immense empty regions we now see in the universe, events that would have to be accounted for in our theory. The second cosmic remnant we'll study using COBE is one no one has ever yet detected. The remnant will show us an event that we think took place about 200 million years after the Big Bang. Primeval gases had collected into individual clouds, which condensed and heated up and developed into the first galaxies. The light from these galaxies may be visible today as very faint infrared radiation, cosmic remnants of the 200-million-year-old universe. To detect the infrared radiation, one of COBE's instruments is specially designed to separate out the bright foreground radiation. COBE will measure the sky so precisely that it will detect the glow from the first galaxies, even if it is only 1% as bright as the rest of the sky. With COBE, we have a unique opportunity to become cosmic archaeologists, to explore and study fossil remnants of the earliest observable universe, to search for the missing link in cosmic evolution, to push back the frontiers of our knowledge almost to the beginning of time. The high street chemist chain Boots have opened specialist hearing centres across the UK. The company says it wants to change the way people care for their hearing. An estimated 9 million people across Britain have a hearing problem, but only 1 million wear hearing aids. People often fail to notice gradual loss of hearing, and they're also put off by the lack of affordable quality aids, by their appearance, and by the lack of follow-up care. The Songbird could change all that. It's a tiny, high-tech aid designed to be thrown away after 6 weeks and costing £22 sterling a month. Specialists like Professor Brian Moore say it's a high-quality product that rivals expensive traditional aids. It has a soft tip and fits deeply in the ear canal that makes it comfortable to wear and reduces the likelihood of the hearing aid whistling. It has a very large microphone which gives a good clean signal with low noise, so it's likely to be heard as less noisy than conventional hearing aids. And it provides amplification over a very wide frequency range, which is likely to give improved speech intelligibility and a better ability to localize where sounds are coming from. 60-year-old Margaret Fells has had hearing problems for 5 years. National Health Service hearing aids didn't work for her, and with state-of-the-art conventional aids costing about £1,500 sterling, she suffered in silence. Having a Songbird fitted has made an enormous difference to Margaret's life. She says she's participating in life again rather than being a bystander.
That's fine.
An hour later, a customer can leave with a hearing aid that will utterly transform the quality of their hearing and their life. For Margaret Fells and her husband Keith, the new revolutionary hearing aid has done just that.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
From the unique vantage point of the space shuttle Atlantis, we can see the separation of two diverse environments. All around us is the endless vacuum of space, a void where humans cannot survive without elaborate life support systems. And below us, like a blue and white oasis in the middle of a lifeless desert, is Earth, a place of abundant life. Separating these two extreme environments is a thin and fragile shell of gases we call our atmosphere. In thickness, the atmosphere is to the Earth like the fuzz is to a tennis ball. But in spite of its relative thinness, the atmosphere is vitally important to life on Earth. It's the atmosphere that gives us the air we breathe, that regulates the climate to make the Earth habitable, and it's a filter that screens out much of the sun's harmful radiation, while allowing the radiation needed for life to pass through. It should come as no surprise that life as we know it would cease to exist if our atmosphere didn't perform its unique functions. Over the years, scientists have detected that our atmosphere has been experiencing mysterious new changes. Changes that appear to be the result of human activity. Changes that could ultimately affect our lives in a major way. Ozone depletion, the greenhouse effect, and global warming are all related to the changes taking place in our atmosphere. But who or what is causing the changes? Let's begin by finding out what's happening to the ozone. Ozone is oxygen, but whereas a regular oxygen molecule is formed by oxygen atoms that are bonded together, ozone molecules have 3 oxygen atoms bonded together. Ozone can be made in the laboratory where its characteristics can be studied, or it can be made naturally in the upper atmosphere. There, ultraviolet from the sun breaks the bond in molecular oxygen to form 2 separate atoms. These atoms may then join with other molecules to form ozone. Why is this important? Well, ozone blocks ultraviolet radiation. Up in the stratosphere, ozone forms a very thin layer, so thin that for every 1 million gas molecules, only 10 are ozone. Ozone is important to all life on Earth because without it, scientists believe that cases of skin cancer and eye cataracts would increase. And since sunscreen only protects humans, animals would be unprotected. Crops and plant life would also be affected, and that would upset the Earth's entire ecological system. Through our eyes, we can't tell if anything is happening to the ozone layer or not, but scientific instruments carried in weather balloons, sounding rockets and satellites show us revealing evidence that ozone levels are decreasing over much of the Earth. From September to November, ozone levels decrease over Antarctica. It's known as the ozone hole and allows more ultraviolet radiation to reach Antarctica than would otherwise do so. The main suspects for changing the ozone levels are the chemical compounds chlorofluorocarbons, also known as CFCs, and oxides of nitrogen, which have many faces. In the upper atmosphere, these compounds react to sunlight and are broken down into smaller parts. The CFCs give off chlorine atoms, while nitrogen oxides form nitric oxide, and they're joined by other chemicals containing hydrogen, sulfur, and other atoms. When these chemicals encounter ozone, an action occurs that strips away an atom of oxygen from the ozone molecule. These chemicals come from many sources. Methane is formed by agricultural activities such as rice production and the cattle industry. Decaying vegetation in swamps also produces methane. Nitrogen is released into the atmosphere during lightning storms in tropical regions. Many chemical fertilizers that we use to grow our food are nitrogen-based, and they lead to increased release of nitric oxide into the atmosphere. The greenhouse effect is caused by carbon dioxide that blankets the Earth and traps heat, much the same as a greenhouse does. In a greenhouse, incoming radiation from the sun passes through the translucent roof unhindered, but the heat radiated back from the Earth is trapped by the glass. This trapped heat causes the temperature in the greenhouse to rise. And the same thing happens in the atmosphere as carbon dioxide increases. Heat becomes trapped under the atmospheric blanket and global temperatures will rise by a few degrees. Excess carbon dioxide can be caused by volcanoes, naturally caused forest fires, and many human activities. For more than 100 years, the fossil fuel-burning machines of the Industrial Revolution have dumped millions of tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. At the same time, the harvesting of forests and the clearing of land for cultivation is reducing vegetation cover. Vegetation uses carbon dioxide for growth and in doing so tends to limit atmospheric increases in carbon dioxide. Scientists are continuing to monitor the atmosphere to determine what gases and trace elements are present in the atmosphere, as well as measuring the ultraviolet radiation output of the sun. These are long-term missions of investigation into the interaction of the sun's energy with Earth's atmosphere. The goal is to better understand how chemicals in the atmosphere reacting with the sun's changing energy levels are affecting our environment. There are obviously many questions to be answered before we completely unravel the mysteries of our changing atmosphere. Traffic lights get heavy use and the bulbs need replacing about every 6 months. But these lights in central London will go on working for 10 years. They're the first in the world to be powered by a long-lasting light bulb containing a light-emitting diode made from a substance called gallium nitride, a man-made material that doesn't exist in nature. It was made specifically to emit brilliant blue light. Light-emitting diodes emit red light such as this bicycle rear lamp, but we never before had a light-emitting diode which will emit blue light. And if we coat this light-emitting diode with white phosphor, then we get intense white light. It takes 2 power stations to run all the traffic lights in Britain. Using more energy-efficient bulbs should greatly reduce this demand, cutting carbon dioxide pollution. The gallium nitride bulbs consume only 10% of the power of ordinary light bulbs. The light-emitting diodes that are being developed by scientists hold out the hope of a domestic light bulb that will last 100 times as long as a conventional bulb. Researchers at Cambridge are exploring even more exciting possibilities for technology based on the blue laser light derived from gallium nitride. These include more efficient mobile phones and a new generation of compact discs. Blue light has only got half the wavelength of red light. The new technology should make the dentist a better and less painful experience too. Instead of having teeth drilled out, the decay will be removed accurately and hopefully painlessly using blue laser light. better understanding of the makeup of the human genome is shedding light on the role our genes play in deciding how likely we are to develop a range of diseases. But Dr. Richard Sullivan of the Cancer Research Campaign is worried at the consequences of releasing such information to commercial companies. The fear is that if people are reluctant to come forward for testing, this could undermine the progress towards early discovery and successful treatment of life-threatening diseases like cancer. With all the knowledge at hand, it's amazing that people still smoke. It's no secret that smoking ages your skin. Smokers have paler complexions and their skin looks thicker, and it's thought that for every 10 years of smoking, the face ages by 14 years. By the time they reach their 40s, smokers have facial wrinkles similar to those of non-smokers in their 60s. Now, though, scientists at St Thomas's and other hospitals in London have found out why. Skin specialist Professor Young and his team had been investigating the effects of sunlight on the skin by exposing groups of volunteers to ultraviolet light. When the team examined the results of their tests, they discovered that some volunteers had unusual amounts of a gene responsible for a skin enzyme that breaks down the skin's elasticity. In analysing the data, they found that the volunteers fell into two groups: those that had the expression of the gene for this protein that breaks down skin collagen, and those that didn't. It was previously thought that smokers appear to age faster because additives in cigarettes increase the body's production of damaging chemicals. The new finding suggests a much more fundamental change in the skin's structure and appearance. Once this gene is activated, the protein is manufactured by the cells, and that protein has a specific task of breaking down collagen, which accounts for about 70% of the skin and gives the skin its mechanical, elastic properties. The bad news is that although the effects of smoking on the skin might not be seen for decades, the results are irreversible. Even if smokers quit by their mid-30s, the wrinkles will probably remain.